because I mean, I have a tendency, and it's something I'm kind of fighting where, you get rejected or you get turned around or anything like that. You naturally just want to go, not going there anymore, not doing that again, not going in that space ever again, kind of thing, right? And
Mhm.
again, I had to keep pushing in my head that you can't stop.
Welcome back to First Dollar Academy. I'm your host, Jeremy Mohue. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Before we get things started, I have one quick question for you. Have you ever written a review before? I have. I've written a few. The one that comes to mind is a poor experience I had at a Dallas restaurant. I won't name its name. To the restaurant's credit, they replied to my review and offered a free coupon to make things right. Although I didn't take them up on that offer, I still appreciated the sentiment. My next guest has started an entire business around this idea. Cortney Ketchum is the founder of the Review Mediator and has started a business to help other businesses manage their reputation online. Listen to how Courtney started a business literally from scratch to help build other businesses. Courtney Ketchum, welcome to First Dollar Academy. How are you?
Good, I'm good. That's good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Sorry it took us a little bit of time to get on, but here we are. I'm so excited to
Good.
speak with you about Review Mediator and all the things that you've been working on.
Yeah.
But for those who are being introduced to you for the first time, what would you tell them? Like, who is Courtney Ketchum?
Oh God. I let's see. I'm a born and bred New Orleans. Um, I've been in Texas for I'd say 19 years now, since Katrina. Um, Coming here was it had to be kind of slapped in my family and I's face that this was the direction that God wanted us to go. Because if you are from New Orleans, I'm gonna say pre-Katrina,
Uh-huh.
you know that leaving home is not even thinking about that, right? You're in your bubble. This is all you know. This is what you do. So that was a blessing in disguise for us. We lost quite a bit, but we gained so much. Um, and then coming here, my both my family and I, we just kind of got a new understanding of life and that there was so much to be had and do, right? And as I went on into my career, I learned a lot about myself. When I got here, I delved into, I mean, I've been in so many aspects, right? I've delved into the world of tech and e-commerce. And when cell phones came out, they needed troubleshooting and fixing. So that was my world. And uh, in all aspects, I kind of dealt in the customer experience world. It wasn't until I got to Walmart and Sprint and T-Mobile and things like that where I really honed my skills in that area. And I went from an agent who walked in the building making 12, $15 an hour to operations manager making six figures, right? So I was scaling really fast in that area, right? Reputation, customer experience, reputation management, things like that. And I thought to myself, well, I'm helping them grow a lot, but my pockets aren't getting any fatter, right? So last November in 2023, and unfortunately, like a lot of people, I was laid off. And I thought to myself, you can either go back into this job market that is just wretched. Okay. I mean, it's horrible,
Right.
right? Or you can launch this business you've been thinking about forever. And I came up with the name on the fly and I launched it. And then I've just been growing from there. So,
Big
yeah,
congratulations. That's a really great origin story. And you talk a lot
yeah.
about, your upbringing and where you come from. I'm so curious to know, from the perspective of someone who has worked in big corporations, was there any inkling during your time at Walmart or T-Mobile or Brinks? Like, were you like always like kind of looking outward and kind of exploring the world of entrepreneurship at all, or did it just kind
Oh,
of
yeah. Oh yeah, big time. Like I want to say, and I have to credit that to my mom and my dad. Uh, that especially my mom because she was a big dreamer. She is a big dreamer, and she was a businesswoman, and so her kids, all of us, all pursued our own businesses, right? So I always had that in the back of my mind. I just didn't know how to start. I didn't know where to go, or I'd start something and then stop it. I mean, I had a
Mhm.
huge idea that I brought this close to being real, and then I dropped the ball on it,
Mm.
right? So when I knew that I had the ability, I knew this time I had a heavier weight on me because I now have a family of my own. And I knew that if I was going to do this, that there could be no more dropping the ball on things. I had to see this sucker through, right? And that was in my mind, and that is in my mind that I have to see this through. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's what kind of brought me here, and I've been here ever since. So
Well,
yeah.
that's so good to hear. So I'm so curious. So you said, you've had a bunch of different ideas, maybe
Hmm.
didn't follow through. This time is a little bit different. I'm so curious, when you started Review Me, like, what are the first like three things you did to kind of start the business? Was it business formation? Was it just trying to get clients? Like, what's talk a little bit about like the first couple things you
Yeah.
wanted to execute on as you started.
I bought the name. That's for sure. I went and bought the domains. I bought the name. That was my first thing. I formed my LLC. That was the second thing, and then the third thing was I went and built a website of my own. And I did just kind of taking all the skills. I get that from my daddy. My dad was like a jack of all trades. You put it in front of him, he could probably do it. And I sat there and I was like, okay, I don't have any money to pay anybody to build me out a website, but I
Mhm.
could build my own. And so I just went on and built me a website and launched it. It's completely different than the website I have now, but it's a on the budget website that I built first, but I had a platform that people could go to and read about my services. So yeah.
And on that kind of same line, obviously you build a website so people can know who you are, know who you're about, and you know get your word out, get the word about your business.
Yeah.
So like, what were kind of some of the things in the back of your mind on how, because you are really running
Hmm.
a business as it relates to you know reviews and like getting
Yeah.
people involved and like
Yeah.
understanding exactly like how good the businesses are that these people are trying to determine whether or not they want to work with. So you had to kind of do that for yourself. I'm assuming at first. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
so curious. I'm so
Yeah.
curious how you did that.
I still have to do that for myself. So a lot of the work that I did in the beginning, it's funny. It's funny because when I first started to try to get people, signed up for my services, I went out personally and went to store in the DFW. I went to different businesses, handing out my business card, talking to the managers. I had to first, I heard someone say, if you really want it, you'll push yourself out of your comfort zone. My natural self is to be in the background, to clam up in a shell. I'd rather do it behind the computer than to get in people's face to do it. I'm not that girl. I wasn't that girl. But I said, if you really want it, then you do have to push yourself to that level. So I was going out in front of businesses, and I had people, and I went to shows. People would put on shows with different businesses, and I'd go to each booth and talk to each business and sell them on my services, right? And although I was not successful in doing that, I was successful at pushing myself beyond my boundary, right?
Mm.
Um, and it was uncomfortable. It was scary. Rejection in your face is even more scary. I tell the story all the time that I went up to a booth one time with the guy. I want to say he was with the Zaxby's, the food restaurant, something like
Right.
that. I walk up to his booth and I go to reach him my card to tell him about my services. And he goes, we already have that. Just blew me. We already have that. Right. And
Wow.
I felt so defeated that I was like, you do that normal thing you do in your life. You don't want to ask anybody for anything. You don't want to,
Right.
whatever. I don't need to tell you anything. You don't want my services. But it taught me a lesson in fighting and pushing forward and not letting a denial, whether it's over email, whether it's over, it's in your face, whatever, not letting it discourage you, because I got a little discouraged. And your natural self outside of your business mind wants to go, well, forget you.
Right.
Services, whatever kind of thing. But I had to learn from that. And I didn't stop myself from doing those things. I kept doing those things. And doing that helped me get out into networking. So I started doing that. I joined multiple chamber of commerces. I joined different groups out in the DFW that I had never heard of, right? Just meeting different people, getting out of my house, getting out of my comfort zone to meet people, to talk to people, right? Mingle, whether something came from it or not. What I wanted them to know was that if you come across someone with this need, you'll only think about me, because I'm the only one in your face marketing this product, right?
That is such an important
yeah.
such an important point that I really want to highlight on, because
Yeah.
like you said, you are providing a service for people to really kind of help massage or promote their products and services. And your name, and I know that you probably really had to go and search and figure out exactly what you wanted to call yourself, was really important to you, because you knew that as you started passing out this information, that's, you want to associate your service with that name. So tell me something about the kind of your breakthrough. So you're doing all that, right? What was the moment or client or strategy that finally helped it, okay, now I feel like I'm onto something?
Yeah, well, so during the entrepreneur journey, I'm learning, as you meet people, everybody has something going on, right? One of the main things that came out of my conversations was, can you join my group? You want to join my group? Let's join this group, right? And this is online groups. Some are physical, but mostly online, right? Join this group. So I accidentally fill out a form on Instagram for some group, because it wasn't what I thought it was. Well, the guy calls me and he says to me, hey, I saw you fill out our form, that you want to join our group of entrepreneurs and C-suites and things like that. And I said, okay, yeah, I do. And he said, well, it'll be $750 a month to join this group. We only meet in Dallas one time. We meet elsewhere and virtually. But you can join the group and have access to those people. And I said, I'm a startup. I don't have $750 a month to give you. If I have $750 a month, that's going into marketing and advertising, right? So my answer was a hard no. But what I did get from talking to him was, he said to me, I looked at your LinkedIn profile, and he said, it's nothing about your business. I don't know what you do. And so he gave me a list. He pulled up a note thing on the computer, and he said, this is what I want you to do. He said, currently you have that you're open to work. He said, you have to be brave and take that down. He said, change that. You have to put up a banner that shows who you are, a professional banner in your services. You have to revamp your entire LinkedIn profile. And he says, you only have 50 people on your LinkedIn profile. And I said, well, I was one of those people who didn't mess with LinkedIn back in the day. I always thought, LinkedIn is for your employer and people you work with to get on your profile and mind your business. So I didn't mess with LinkedIn. And he said, you have to build up your network. He said, it shows nothing about you. So if I come to LinkedIn and I'm looking for you, all I know is that your name is Cortney Ketchum and
Mm.
maybe a little bit of your, your history of where you used to work. So I took the time out and I completely revamped my profile. I put my business and what we do and the website link and all this stuff, right? In every post. And he told me, you need to post every day of the week. And so I was like, every day of the week? What am I going to talk about? You know? So I really had to think about my business and who we are and what we do and how to start building conversation around that. And then who would be the people that I need to connect with.
Mm.
So I went on a connection frenzy on LinkedIn. I went from 50 connections and followers to I have over 700 followers and over 700 connections
Mm.
in a couple months. But that was all people would see my post, or I was, connecting with people that I wanted to be connected with in the reputation management space. And that moment for me turned things around for me. It really started to give me a name in the industry, right? A name that I'm still building in the industry. It allowed me to connect with big people at big places that you would never have access to, right? And that's really the power of LinkedIn. I could give them that. LinkedIn has that type of power, but it really put me in place to have access to people that on a regular basis I'd really have to really hustle hard to get access to. And I think that was the breaking point for me.
Absolutely. And it's so funny that you
Yeah.
mentioned that because, you know, you make a really good point in terms of the people, right? The
Yeah.
types of people that you want to connect with. It's a little bit different than going booth to booth because ultimately you don't know who is on the other end of that
Mm-hmm.
handshake and how they may be able to support your business. But on LinkedIn, we have all these tags and all the segmentation, all these things that can kind of
Yeah.
help you, really navigate that space. I'm so curious to hear about
Absolutely.
like the value proposition that you know tell customers, right? Because I can imagine you get so much pushback from people who say, "Oh, we manage that ourselves," or "That's something
Yeah.
that we're not, we don't have a budget for that, or we're not worried about that." And I've actually been looking at your LinkedIn, and you have so many articles and things about how it really does play a part in your bottom line ultimately when it comes to reputation management. Talk a little bit about that value prop and like how you really try to connect dollars to the services that you do.
Yeah. So in the reputation management space, right? You're right. I in my hustle in the beginning, I would hear that a lot, Oh, we already have someone in place, or we already have a tool, right? We already have a team, or it's not something really we're really focused on right now. What has helped me in my business name is that online reviews, social media is absolutely the wild, wild west. Untamed opinions everywhere, right? And one of the needs when I first came into the market, I was just coming in the market as we're an online reputation management company. Okay. Right. I know plenty of those. What I learned through my journey is one guy I spoke to said to me, you told me about how you're entering the market different from every other reputation management company, which is you are focused on and specialize in resolving online disputes between businesses, consumers, and review sites. He said,
Mm.
but when I go to your website or when I talk to you, he said, your name drew me in, but your website didn't keep me because I don't see how the name transfers to your value proposition, right? And I thought, oh, well, are you going to give me the money so I could rebuild my website? Was the first thing. uh, but I honestly thought, okay, well, how do I, it is something we're still working on, right? How do I relay this message to everyone that our goal is to resolve online review disputes, right? we do traditional reputation management, right? Which involves strategies and online review management and responding and generating reviews. We do that, right? But how we're entering in the market is a space that nobody's touching. We're resolving online review disputes. And what that means is there are businesses everywhere, especially small businesses, who are affected the most by negative reviews, that get attacked by negative reviews. People lie on the business, they write fake reviews, or they express an experience that wasn't an experience, right? Or some people go into a business and they say, I give it a 1 star because when I walked into the business, the guy had on a American flag hat, right? Has
Right.
nothing to do with the experience, right? Has everything to do with your own personal feelings about something, right?
Mm.
So making that differentiation, and businesses felt like, geez, I disputed this. Why wasn't it removed? This has
Mm.
nothing to do with our business, right? And when I first entered in the market that way, people would say to me, you sure there's a need? You sure that there's a need? So I had to go find proof that there's a need, right? So I did my own market research, working through some things, and review sites aren't keen on releasing the number of review disputes they receive on their platform. Trustpilot and Yelp has released that data. Trustpilot states that in 2023, they had 500,000 review disputes, right? Yelp had over 500,000. So you can imagine the number of disputes Google and Facebook and all the others have, right?
Mm.
But these disputes are, sometimes they can handle them, sometimes they can't. Sometimes they put AI in place to handle them, sometimes AI get it wrong. They have a small team of, right? So there was confusion everywhere. How do we handle the influx of online review disputing, right, between businesses and consumers? How do we right some of this wrong, right? And then that's where we came in place. I started the business because I thought, well, I think the biggest need is human interaction. Is
Mm.
for humans to investigate these cases, these issues, these reviews, and decide whether it's one for removal, if it's I want to say a legitimate review, right? If it should stay or if it should go. Now, a lot of those reviews are true. They're true
Mm.
experiences, right? But there has to be, I think in everything, there has to be an entity in place to resolve issues between people. And in this case, businesses and consumers, right? And the review platforms weren't doing that. They weren't
Mm.
doing it, and they weren't doing it effectively, right? Um, so then the FTC came out with this huge law that goes into place, I think, next month, right? Where they are fining review brokers, review companies, online reputation management businesses that are offering to write reviews for people, to post fake reviews for people, to remove negative reviews that are legitimate, right? Um, and so when I was looking at the market, I said, okay, this is where we fit in. This
Mm.
is where we see ourselves as an outsource to the review platforms to help them manage the influx of disputes that are online, right? We want to be the go-to for that. We want to be the company that receives that information and investigates those cases to a resolution. So,
Absolutely, and that's
yeah,
such a good point because you started one way, right, thinking
yeah,
that you were going
yeah,
to do something, and then ultimately, based on what the market needs, is how you kind of shifted your business and really offer
absolutely.
that really good value proposition. I also noticed that you have a technology component that helps you manage some of these disputes. Talk a little bit about like how you made the decision, obviously, to build a client portal that can make it a little
Yeah,
bit easier for you to manage, and then ultimately, like, you know even with your background, perhaps you're not a coder, like, well,
Yeah.
maintaining this system and making sure that like it's actually doing what you're paying for it to do.
Yeah. So I saw you heard the platform Upwork, the
Hmm.
freelance platform. So I'm on Upwork, um, and I realized that one guy reaches out to me and he says, I need 10,000 reviews disputed, right? Well, you got to pay for that. That's number one. It's a lot of work. Okay. Listen, and that's what makes us special. Because when you're disputing a review, we're not just overlooking a review and going off, just put the dispute in. We are reading, we are investigating, right? Gathering evidence to really prove a point and prove the case, right, for removal. So I said, 10,000? And he said to me, yes, I'm a marketing firm and I have companies under my belt, and my companies are looking for help to remove reviews, get help disputing reviews that aren't right, right? That don't express the true experience. And I knew there was a need. Once I started doing, after he said that to me, I went heavy into research on what if he's asking for 10,000, and this was from one platform, Trustpilot.
Hmm.
If he's asking for 10,000, this is one person. You can imagine what everybody else is disputing and asking for, right? Um, so I thought after talking to him, I said, well, the best way for me to maintain something like that and for you to be able to see the progress is to build a client portal. So then I went to searching in the market to see if anyone else has that. Anyone else has a client portal that focused specifically on review disputes? Nobody. Nobody had that. No other online reputation management company is even focusing on that, right? So I built it. I don't have a coding background, so I went and found a company that lets you build client portals with no coding experience, right? So they do most of the work. You just start building your platform. So I built it from the ground up, where a customer can subscribe to sign up, log in, and we have two buttons. One is you can click to enter information to dispute reviews, right? So you send a request in for that. And then the other was to get help managing reviews. And the reason why I did that was because I also saw in the market where businesses, especially small businesses, would say to me, I want help, but I only need help 20, 30 hours a week. So if I could just hire a dedicated rep, on the go kind of hourly support, then that'd be great for me and what we do. So we did that. We put a button there. So if a business just needs weekly, hourly support, a dedicated rep to help them manage their reviews, grow their reviews, respond to reviews, you can do that, right? Um, but in the portal, once you sign up, especially for disputes, you can track the progress. There's a button called dispute status. So you can track you can see when we start the process, when we're in progress, when we finally sent it, what we're waiting on. If there's something, if we need more proof, the status will change to ask you for more proof, right? But you can watch the process from beginning to end until it's resolved or until it's declined. If it's declined, we take the declined ones, we see why, and then we go back, gather whatever we need to redispute that issue. So the client portal has been helpful for, yes, maintaining the request, right? And giving users a way to be able to go back into a system. They don't have to be in it all day. They don't have to write the stuff. They don't have to do any other work, but come into the portal, check the status. If I'm asking for more information, give that information, log in, log out as they please. So yeah, that's been interesting. Listen, I surprised myself when I launched that portal. I did. I really, my sister said to me, girl, you will do whatever. But I sat down and I found the software and I just said, okay, people were charging hourly to build it. And I have a background in website building and data analytics and things like that, and in portal management. And I was like, I can build this portal. So I just built it and launched it. And so, yeah.
I think that's the definition of scrappy for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to do things yourself. And
Yeah.
to that point, you talk a lot about you know, how you are basically you started with your 2 feet, getting out of the
Yeah.
house, trying
Yeah.
to get clients. Obviously, moved over to LinkedIn to rehab, your look and reach out to potential people, and then obviously, you're building things on your own to try to make your job a little bit easier.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot of work. I guess my next question is around how you're balancing the client getting side, the sales side with the
Hmm.
actual work, right? Because
Yeah.
there are two elements to this, right? Getting people to pay and then doing the thing that they're
Oh,
paying
yeah.
for. And so, how are you able to balance those two uniquely different kind of things there?
It's interesting. I spent my time when I first started disputing reviews, businesses would ask me, can you do the work to remove the review, dispute it and remove it, and then I'll pay you?
Mm,
And so I had to think about that for a minute, right? Because it is a selling point, right? But I thought to myself, you have a good background in doing this, and you don't have the time to spend to do work for people that you don't get paid for.
mm,
So no. My answer was no, I can't, I know that I can't guarantee you, no one can, that any review site is going to just remove it just because we're disputing it. I never do that. I guarantee you that I put every effort in place to get it removed, right? I build amazing cases to get those reviews removed, right? A lot of times you're successful and sometimes you're not. Um, but I spend a lot of my time looking for clients, searching for clients, right? I go to platforms like Upwork and Fiverr. I go to small businesses in the area, right? Um, and once I can get a customer on board, I seek out some help to help me manage some of the workload, right? That we're doing. Um, I try not to take it all on by myself, right? Because I'm only one person, but I also have agents that I'm working on training in the background to
mm.
handle the influx, right? And we're getting there. That also came out of networking. Is that I met groups of people who do work placement. They own what do you call them? Their own job agencies,
Hmm.
right? So I've been able to keep that information from people I met to say, hey, I have this amount of work coming in. Do you have agents who are looking for, a job that they can get trained on? I could teach them how to work cases and dispute things. And so that has been working for me to take off of some of the load.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting, right, when it comes to hiring people, because maybe you had an idea of growth at the beginning, but you're growing really fast, and so it probably
Yeah.
is a lot. Like you said, you're searching for clients. Now you're expanding your team, trying to get a little bit more help. In addition to you making
Yeah.
sure, obviously, like the work that they're doing is quality. I really
Hmm.
want to ask about your reflection, right? So you started like not long ago, right? Basically
Hmm.
just about a year ago,
Yeah.
and you've already kind of expanded to where you're obviously hiring people. I want to ask about, like, you know you being a black woman in
Hmm.
a predominantly white industry, right? When it comes
Yeah.
to reputation
Yeah.
management,
Yeah.
and like some of the challenges that I guess you didn't know that you were going to have to overcome, and just
Hmm.
how you've maintained kind of that positive outlook to keep going.
Oh man, I was when I started doing this, people would always tell me about pitch competitions, right? Now, of course, you can imagine I that was scary for me. Getting in front of people, pitching my business, trying not to trip over my words, and being amongst other entrepreneurs. And I would bring my sister along with me because we both started our entrepreneur journey at the same time, right? She has an app called Fun on a Run Plus One that she's launching that's going to be amazing. But anyway, I would bring her along with me to kind of calm some of my nerves. And so I pitched at a few competitions here and there. And I remember I get to a pitch competition and I pitched my business. This is right after my father passed. And I just really wasn't, really wasn't into it, but I did it. I gathered up the strength to go and do it. And I go through the process, and there's a guy who comes up behind me and pitches his business. And his business was like a chocolate business or whatever. So we wrap up the conversation, all the pitches, and you're supposed to, mingle and people come give you resources and talk to you. Jeremy, I swear to God, it's the first time I ever experienced it. None of them came my way. They all made the loop towards the chocolate guy to give him insight and give him resources. Nobody had resources for me. All this other stuff, all this information, you could connect, they're swapping numbers, never came and talked to me. It was the first experience I have had through my networking, through my pitching, where I saw the discrepancy in that arena, And I remember my sister saying to me, you're going to keep doing this. You're going to keep moving, and we are going to be in rooms where we are not respected. Whether we're Black or a woman, whatever, we're going to be in rooms where people won't look our way and they won't respect us. That doesn't mean you don't still show up, right? You have to take it for what it is and keep it moving. Because if it's not there, that's not where God wanted it to come from. Right? I had to see it that way. And I really was shocked, but it was in my face. It was in my face. So, I would go on to do more networking events and different pitches. And I started experiencing the same thing here and experiencing it there. And I'd go to a networking event and I'd try to shake hands with someone who spoke or who was the keynote speaker that night or who was obviously talking amongst other people, but wouldn't reach out to shake my hand or wouldn't spend the time to talk to me. Right. And I just started realizing that everywhere that I went, every space that I went in, I had to grab what God had for me in that space. So it meant that you don't stop passing out your business cards, give it to everybody, right? There's one in the crowd. You don't stop talking to people, talk to everybody. There's one in the crowd. You know what I mean? Somebody's going to engage you. So, it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's definitely a lesson I needed to learn, right? Because I have a tendency, and it's something I'm kind of fighting, where you get rejected or you get turned around or anything like that. You naturally just want to go, not going there anymore, not doing that again, not going in that space ever again, kind of thing, right? And again, I had to keep pushing in my head that you can't stop. You cannot you're going to be in rooms. This is a perfect story, Jeremy. I go into a room, this group. I'm the only Black woman in the group, right? I swear to God. I go in the room and I think they forget that I'm Black. We were on a room, like a chat room group thing. And I swear I think they forget that they forgot I was Black. The guy gets on the call and he's talking politics and how people keep whining and how they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And I looked at the phone like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? You're forgetting that I'm on this call. And I started to hang up the call, but I said, stay and listen, because either way, and anywhere you go, now that you're networking and doing business and doing whatever, you're going to encounter people who don't believe what you believe, who don't agree with you, who don't even like you, right? but you have to learn how to operate amongst people like that. And so it's been like I said, it's been a tough lesson, but one that I feel comfortable in now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And it's so interesting, right, that you mentioned the nugget about like being in a place where maybe 99% of the people there, have nothing to offer you, but that 1% is worth your
yeah,
time and worth you going and staying. So,
yeah,
as we kind of wrap up here, you have so much, you've been able to gather so much knowledge and wealth of knowledge in this
yeah.
last year. What would you say is the biggest thing for you as an entrepreneur, and like how you've been able to go from that layoff experience that you experienced to now like expanding and growing. What would be your advice to people who are looking to kind of start a business that like you maybe think they're going to do one thing
Yeah,
and end up promoting
yeah.
and highlighting another? Is it just flexibility? Is it continuing to learn? What are the things that you think are most important and biggest for you?
All those. Staying the course, consistency, uh, fighting through different opinions and groups of people. Um, Staying positive, keeping an open mind, right? Because not everything that you think is the right thing, right? So listen to some people. That doesn't mean that you have to take everything they say, right? But there's a nugget in there somewhere for you. When the guy told me he loves my name, but didn't really care for my website, I
Mhm.
took it as, well, I spent forever doing that website, you know? But if I'd have stayed there and said, I spent forever doing that website, I love that website, I wouldn't get his point. I would miss his point of telling me your website has to reflect who you are and what makes you different, right? So listening and gathering pieces of information from each space that you're in that can help move you forward. It's okay to look for help. It's okay to get help. You're going to get denied. People are going to turn their backs. People are going to ghost you, ignore your emails because they ignore mine. Uh, and I write a lot of them. Use what you have. If you have some skills that you can do things on your own, do that. I built a Facebook community by myself. I built my website by myself. I built a client portal by myself. Where I'm seeing I need help, where it comes to the technical aspects, I need to go and search that out, right?
Mm,
So it's okay to use your skills to do as much as you can, but go find some help, right? Take
mm.
a lot of the burden off yourself, right? And just be okay with learning new things, and meeting new people. That's the biggest thing I've taken from it, right? And don't take things too personal.
Mm.
Don't take them too personal. You know, if you set your mind up to know that I may walk in this room and they may not even look at me. They may not acknowledge me. They may not come shake my hand. They may not even want to follow up with me, but you're there for a purpose. Figure it out. So that's what I
There you
got.
go. Courtney, that was such great information. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's called thereviewmediator.com. You can find us there. We have, if you're a business that is looking to dispute reviews, we have a portal, and the portal is called portal.thereviewmediator.com. And then you can always find me on LinkedIn, Cortney Ketchum, on LinkedIn. My first name has no U in it, so it's Cortney, and it's Ketchum, Ketchun. So,
Beautiful. I will definitely link all of your links
yes,
to this episode, but I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for joining the show
awesome.
and providing all that great information.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. You have a good day.
A big thank you to Courtney for joining me on today's episode. And all of this talk about reviews has me begging you to review this episode and give us your feedback. Let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve. We'd love to hear from you. The survey for First Dollar Academy is linked to the bottom of this episode, and I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts. Until next time, thanks so much for listening.